ಸಂಸಾರದವ ನಲಲಿದಲೋಕ ತ್ರಣಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಗಣಗ ನಾತ್ವಂ ಸಂಸಾರದವ ನಲಲಿದಲೋಕ ತ್ರಣಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಗಣಗಣತ್ವಂ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಸ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಗುಣರ್ನವಸ್ಯ ವಂದೇ ಗುರೋ ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ महाप्रभु कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्र मध्यान मनसोर सेना रोमांचकंपा श्रुतरंगबाजो वंदे गुरो श्री चरणरविंदं श्री विग्रहाराधन नित्यानंद शृंगारतन मंदिरमर्जनादो श्री विग्रहाराधन नित्यानंद शृंगारतन मंदिरमर्जनादो युक्तस्य भक्तांश नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दं चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन तृप्त नरिभक्त शृंगार कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दं कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दं श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपार माधुर्य लीला गुणरूप नाम्नां श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपार माधुर्य लीला गुणरूप नाम्नां प्रतीक्षणा स्वदनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो चरणरविन्दम् निकुञ्जयुनो रतिकेलिसेद्याय ययालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् साक्षादरे त्वेना समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भव्यत एव सद्भिः साक्षादरे त्वेना समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भव्यत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभुर्या प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् किन्तु प्रभुर्या प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन्तु वांस्तस्य यस्य श्रीसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् ध्यायन्तु वांस्तस्य यस्य श्रीसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav, Radha Nila Madhav, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
ISKCON BBT Bhaktivedanta Institute founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Brahmhamsa Bhattikacharya Stota Shata Shri Srimati Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Praise se kho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Pardipumi Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Navadvipa Marg Dham ki jai. Purushottam Chaitra Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Shri Ayodhya Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinda ki jai. Harinama Sankirtan ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari. All glory to Sambho devotees. All glory to Sambho devotees. All glory to Sambho devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gaur, and all glory to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankanakarahaye. Ito Nasimha Parato Nasimha. Yato Yato Yami Tato Nasimha. Bahir Nasimha Hidaye Nasimha. Narasimham Adim Sharanam Paprapde. Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakam Abhuda Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanabringa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Kashipu Tanubringa Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare वंदिता नर हरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव नरसिंहदेव स्वामी की जय
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवसचा विष्णु पार्थिपते देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवसचा विष्णु पार्थिपते देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवसचा विष्णु पार्थिपते देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो अभिलाषी जय तुम्हारा शरण लो तारा वंश पूर्ण हो कृपा कोरी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी कृपा कोरी बिना कृष्ण दास कोई न मोरा होय श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा न बासी श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा न बासी यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे हत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Jaya Vrinda Devi 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 Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Devi Jaya Bhakti Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Shri Vrindaya Tulsi Devyaya Priyaya Keshivasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavataya Namo Namaha. Shri Vrindaya Tulsi Devyaya Priyaya Keshivasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavataya Namo Namaha. Shri Vrindaya Tulsi Devyaya Priyaya Keshivasya Cha Vishnu Bhakti Prati Devi Satyavataya Namo Namaha. Shri Vrinda Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai.
O Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow down before you again and again. I desire to do the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wished to fulfill. Please come mercy upon him and make him a resident of Vrindavan. I desire also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shiva and Dhamma Dham. Thus within my vision I shall behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follow a carol dance of the Vraja. Please give me the precious devotional service and make me own maid servant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods of Lord Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature in pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activity in strength of chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritual activities, offering the Veda as fruity activities, karma, kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about glory of the holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names and to maintain material attachment in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses. In order to quickly achieve desired success, Krishna, Prema. Now let us offer most of our witnesses unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as I trees who can fulfill to everyone, and their full compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Shri Chaitanya Shastakam Ki Jai. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhavamahata Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chantrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnarmita Sadhanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuta Nija Sarva Shakti Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranina Kalaha Eta Deshi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durudevami Desham Yahadani Nanuragaha Trinata Pi Sunichena Tarora Pi Saishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadaharihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Jagatisha Kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishware Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Tvai Ayinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Stithaturi Satesham Vichintaya Nayanam Galadashrutaraya Vatanam Gadgada Rudaya Kira Purakai Nichitam Vapurkata Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga Itam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravisha Itam Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashli Shava Padaratam Pinnashtumam Atarshanam Marmhatam Karotuva Yatha Tatha Va Vidathatu Lampato Mad Prananatha Chusa Eva Naparaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Chaitanya Siksastakam Ki Jai. Namo Smadhyaya Stagvati Smad Bhakti and Smartani Namaste Sesam Devi Guru Charan Kadis. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditioned life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of benediction. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotion of service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I will fall into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord,
while my eyes be decorated with tears of love for constantly chanting holy name.
when my voice choke up and when the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your holy name. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering the moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he enters a rough and gracious embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Siksastakam Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Buddha Visimata Bhakti Vinaswantana Namaste Devi Guru Rantanaya Visesu Skatyasta. Shri Guru Pranama Prayers Ki Jai.
Om Jnana Timirasya Nanjana Salakaya
Chaksurun
Yena
Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Pajikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Saivaitam Savadvitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahaguna Dalita Shri Vishakana Vitamsa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Srimavadi Paskatya Desatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namini Shiva Sabhanavi Devi Daitaya Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Daine Prabhuve Namaha Madhur Ujvala Primadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktita Gora Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Sambhani Shimurtaye Dinatarine Rupa Nuga Viruddha Vishnadarine Namo Shoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Viprahambara Sambodhe Padam Bhujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitananda Namine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Virbhavamistvam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurachase Namaha Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Jayatam Suratur Pangur Mama Mandar Mater Gati Matsarva Swapadambo Jo Radha Madana Mohano Divyat Vinduranya Kalpadramataha Shimad Ratnagarha Simhasanastito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prastali Sevyamano Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasaram Divam Sivata Tatastita Karsan Venus Swanir Gopir Gopinata Striyeshtuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Brahma Samhita Ki Jai Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam Chintamani Prakara Satmasukalpa Riksha Laksha Videsu Suravira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Sambrahma Sevyamanam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kanandam Aravinda Dalayataksam Parharvatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Goti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandrakala Sadvana Madhavamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Tribanga Lavitanyata Prakasam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Pantika Yanti Chiranjaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrasya Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitama Chutamanadi Mananta Rupam Madhyam Purana Purusham Navayovanamcha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratapi Manaso Munipungamanam Sopyastiyat Prapadsimya Vichinta Tatve Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sora Chaitam Jagadanda Kotim Yaschakti Rasti Jagadanda Chaya Yadanta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarasta Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayanusa Suktayameva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Adnandu Chinmayasra Bhavitabi Stabilya Eva Nijarupa Dayakalabi Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhuto Govindam Haripurusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Deva Hidesu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Chintaguna Swarupam Govindam Haripurusham Tamaham Bhajami Murti Sukhalami Nevatistam Nanavatara Makarot Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Paramam Pumamyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Hare Krishna. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. Who would like to read the rest?
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desires, in abodes built with spiritual gem, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in the pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyam Sundara is eternally manifest. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of the transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and eternally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure, unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the gyanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. He is, he is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. I adore same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas, by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm Goloka with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her confident Sakhis, embodiments of extension of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Sham Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the form of Ram, Narsimha, Vamana, etc., as his subjective portions.
Thank you very much. Glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We can recite together. Janmadyasya yato niviyat itaratas chartesu avidya swarat tene brahma hidaya adhikavaye muyanti yat suraya tejo varimidam yata vanimayo yatra trisargo masha damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Someone would like to read. Go ahead.
O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. As one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water, only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifest by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
Very, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2. We can say it together. Dharma pujita kaitravocha paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shividam tapo trayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamani Krite Kim Va Purir Ishwaraha Sadyo Ridya Varudyate Cha Kriti Bihi Susubhistakshana. Somebody can read? Anybody?
Translation, Maharaj. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who the highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
Very good. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.3 we can recite together. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukad amritam dravya samyatam pipata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho raska bhuvi bhavakaha. Somebody can read?
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls.
Go to Premanandi Haribol. Thank you very much. See, now this is the way children and their parents should be educated. They sit down together and they recite these verses together, and they learn what the meanings are, and they hear Bhagavatam together and discuss the philosophy. This is real education for children. It's not the junk that they learn in school. Not that learning how to make a living is wrong, but how about learning how to attain eternal life? That's not wrong either. In fact, that's more right than learning how to make an honest, let's say, salary every month. So if more parents did this, you would see an upsurge of transcendental people in this world. And it would eventually spread like wildfire when parents see the actual outcomes that their children achieve by sitting with their parents and hearing and chanting and learning together Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so today we're going to read Canto 3, Chapter 13, and verse number 12. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, verse number 12. Param Surusanamayam Syat Praja Rakshaya Nripa Bhagavan Ste Praja Bhartur Hishikesho Nutusyati. Param, the greatest. Surusanam, devotional service. Mayam, unto me. Syat, should be. Praja, the living entities born in the material world. Rakshaya, by saving them from being spoiled. There you are. 5,000 years ago, the same problem was there, and this is the solution to saving them from being spoiled. Nripa, O King, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Te, with you. Praja Bhartur, with the protector of the living beings. Rishikesha, the Lord of the senses. Anutusyati, is satisfied. It's very amazing how the verses that we're reading are going parallel with things that we're actually experiencing. Like yesterday, the father and son get initiated together. I mean, that's very rare. And the duty of the son and all those things that we read. Today, we're hearing about Rakshaya, how to save children from being spoiled. It's amazing how the correspondence between what we're reading and what we're talking about or experiencing are going hand in hand. It's amazing. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O King, okay, so Brahma speaks to Manu. If you can give proper protection to the living beings in the material world, that will be the best service for me. When the Supreme Lord sees you to be a good protector of the conditioned souls, certainly the master of the senses will be very pleased with you. Okay, so now we know you want to get the approval of Brahma, the originator of our sampradaya, then we have to be a good protector of the conditioned souls. That will please Lord Brahma. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Who would like to read? Somebody? Anybody?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
The whole administrative system is arranged for the purpose of going back home, back to Godhead. Brahma is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Manu is the representative of Brahma. Similarly, all other kings on different planets of the universe are representatives of Manu. The law book for the entire human society is the Manu Samhita, which directs all activities towards the transcendental service of the Lord. Every king, therefore, must know that his responsibility in administration is not merely to exact taxes from the citizens, but to see personally that the citizens under him are being trained in Vishnu worship.
Very important point. Nowadays, the politicians think, well, our number one service is to take as much money as we can from the people for taxes and then use the money for our sense gratification. If you realized, if you really understood how much money is wasted by the U.S. government, you'd be furious. It's a huge amount of money. Okay, go ahead.
Everyone must be educated in Vishnu worship and engaged in the devotional service of Rishikesha, the owner of the senses. The conditioned souls are meant not to satisfy their material senses, but to satisfy the senses of Rishikesha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the purpose of the complete administrative system. One who knows this secret, as disclosed here in the version of Brahma, is the perfect administrative head. One who does not know this is a show bottle administrator.
A show bottle. A show bottle.
Show bottle. By training the citizens in the devotional service of the Lord.
Show bottle administrator. It's like oftentimes when people have a store and they want to exhibit the products that they have. So rather than put a product with, the contents, they just make one bottle without the contents, but it looks like there's something in it. They put some water in it or something. And that's called a show bottle. It's just to show people what the bottle looks like, right? But it's not the real thing. Okay. So here he's saying that one who does not know this, that the secret of the administrative system is to please the senses of Rishikesha or Krishna, the proprietor or the possessor of the senses, not to please our senses or the senses of the mundane people. Go ahead.
By training the citizens in the devotional service of the Lord, the head of the state can be free in his responsibility. Otherwise, he will fail in the onerous duty entrusted to him and thus be punishable by the supreme authority. There is no other alternative in the discharge of administrative duty.
So when it says onerous duty, onerous means very difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to be a politician, go around always lying to people, making promises that you don't keep, and taking bribes. Like for example, if you go in certain neighborhoods in Delhi, there are these really big mansions, and the people that live in the mansions, oftentimes, they're politicians. Now, if you look at how much a politician gains per year for being a politician, it's not a lot of money. But yet they're living in houses that are $5 million, $10 million, $20 million. How are they doing that? You say. Well, because they're getting the bakshish. They're getting the black money bribes. And in this way they become very, very rich. Right? Now, even if they get caught, they take that risk. Because even if they get caught, they've already hidden a lot of the money in foreign accounts or whatever. So they're willing to take that chance, knowing well that they'll only be in jail maybe 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. But they still have this huge amount of money in their foreign banks that they can spend and their family can spend. This is horrible things that are happening all over the world. It's not only in India. It's all over the world this is going on. And then when they get caught, like for example, this one politician, he got caught by the income tax people. They raided his house, and they searched his house, and they found like $500,000 in his freezer. He was hiding the money in his freezer, right, in the kitchen. And so this happens a lot. I mean, you can look at, why don't you look it up now on the internet? Politician, house is raided, and the IRS finds money in his freezer. Right? So, you see, there's no limit to the cheating that's taking place. Now, does every politician be a cheater? Well, not necessarily, but many of them are cheating, right? Whether it's India or the United States or other countries. So, when you're a politician, you have a big responsibility to please the senses of Rishikesha or Krishna, not please the senses of yourself and the common people. They're going to be satisfied by being protected by the mercy of Krishna and learning to be genuine devotees. Okay, did you find something? Go ahead.
The 90,000 found in congressman's freezer. This is in 2006, May 22.
90,000 what?
$90,000 found in congressman's freezer.
Yes, so a member of the American Congress, meaning the House of Representatives, he was a member of the House of Representatives, they found $90,000 in his freezer. Yeah, so he got caught, and of course he lost his job. Okay, so let's read that last sentence, last two sentences again. Go ahead, Mataji. Read the last two sentences again. The last four sentences. That is the purpose of the complete administrative system.
That is the purpose of the complete administrative system. One who knows this secret, as disclosed here in the version of Brahma, is the perfect administrative head. One who does not know this is a show bottle administrator. By training the citizens in the devotional service of the Lord, the head of a state can be free in his responsibility. Otherwise, he will fail in the onerous duty entrusted to him and thus be punishable by the supreme authority. There is no other alternative in the discharge of administrative duty.
Yeah, so what is the secret? The conditioned souls are meant not to satisfy their material senses, but to satisfy the senses of Rishikesha. Rishikesha, the name of Krishna, means he's the owner or the owner of all senses, because he's given us all our senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, mind, intelligence, ego. All these things have come from Krishna. So they actually belong to him. They don't belong to us. They're, let's say, given to us to use to acquire spiritual knowledge and eventually go back to Godhead. But they're not supposed to be used selfishly for sense gratification. So everything depends on what's called proprietorship. Who is the owner? Now, every society has a theory of proprietorship. We've talked about this before. Like, for example, there's a communist society. Well, the proprietorship, ideally in a communist society, are the workers themselves, not the capitalists who put up the money for the workers to work, but the workers themselves. Then there's socialism. Socialism, the concept of proprietorship is the government. So you'll see in a socialist system, the government owns most of all the banks, all the big industries, etc. And they control all the money in the banks and everything. So therefore, they have a very strong grip on the economy, and then people ability to earn money is limited to a certain extent, except for the guys who cheat. But for most common people, it's limited. And then you have the capitalist system where the laws protect individual ownership of properties and assets. And then you have mixes of those, mixes of socialist and capitalist system. And the United States has that mixed system. It claims to be a capitalist nation, but it has communist things in it, or socialist things in it, like you have to pay your taxes, and then the government distributes the money in the way they think they should, and they take the money away from you. So that's a socialist or communist type of system. And then there's the dictatorship, where the dictator and his military guys and some of the very rich industrialists, they usurp or steal the ownership of most things. And then you have the people who believe that nobody should be an owner. So that is chaos. And they don't protect anybody's ownership. Everything should be shared. Well, each one of those is a system of proprietorship that organizes the social structure of the country. Every one of those theories is wrong. Capitalism, socialism, communism, dictatorship, and all the other speculated types of ownership will not make the people happy. They'll always be dissatisfied in one way or another, and people will not be able to reach the goal of life. It's just to go back to Godhead. Okay, so this is the purpose of the complete administrative system, that one should satisfy the senses of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not the senses of the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are meant not to satisfy their material senses, but to satisfy the senses of Hrishikesha. Wow, so you see how simple the solution of all problems is. And although it's very simple, very direct, most people are not following it, and therefore they're not happy. And they're always complaining, no matter which system of proprietorship they're living under. Okay. Are there any questions about this?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
So, growing up, when we do any mistake,
When we make a mistake.
when you make a mistake, mom and dad used to say, this is wrong, you should not have this, have ethical values. But the generation looked up to these politicians where they have been making mistakes, yet because it was all about material things, and they started living luxurious, and that's where I think things went wrong, like looking up to the wrong role models. And thinking their life is more luxurious and not knowing what they are going through. Recently, 3 to 4 years back, when Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, has eliminated certain currency, lot of money was found in TTT, the Tirupati Devasthanam, like unknown money, out of the blue, money came out. So there is tons and tons of money just in India. I won't forget.
You mean that the Tirupati Devastam were part of the cheating process?
No. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think so. But people dropped lots of money into the into the
The money that
donation
was no
box.
longer legal,
Right.
but it's not. It's worthless.
If it was legal money, they can go to a bank and exchange it. Because it was a black money, they didn't know what to do, and even money was found on roads. People threw money out.
What do you say? What did you say? Okay, go ahead.
So how do we explain to our relatives or who are still looking up to, they are making so many mistakes, yet they are going to be successful?
Well, you sit down your relatives and you read Srimad Bhagavatam and explain it to them. Look, this is wrong. It's not the right thing to do. Like we're doing, we're sitting down and we're hearing directly from, Prabhupada's purports and the statements of Brahma and the statements of other great devotees, and we're learning what is the proper thing to do. Now, because the majority of people are not following the proper thing, so we look like we are wrong because there's such a small minority. But that's why when we read the next 2 or 3 verses, you will see that there is great hope that we will prevail, the ones that are following the right rules. We'll just go there right away because I have a doctor's appointment at 7:30, so I have to go soon. But let's fast forward to text 17. So Brahma is thinking, and someone can read.
Translation. Brahma thought, while I have been engaged in the process of creation, the earth has been inundated by a deluge and has gone down into the depths of the ocean. What can we do who are engaged in this matter of creation? It is best to let the Almighty Lord direct us.
So Brahma is not able to save the earth that's fallen down into the Garbhodak ocean. So he says, it's better that the Lord takes care of this. I don't have the power or the strength to do this. Okay, so now read the purport. It's a very important purport. If you understand just this one purport, it solves all the problems of life.
Purport. The devotees of the Lord, who are all confidential servitors, are sometimes perplexed in the discharge of their respective duties, but they are never discouraged. They have full faith in the Lord, and He paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty.
If you just understand this one paragraph, you will become, let's say, never bewildered by all the big problems of the world that you have to face. And you always, as a devotee, you're going to face many problems, right? As anybody, even if you're not a devotee, you're facing many problems, right? But if you understand this verse, that is that devotees have full faith in the Lord, and the Lord paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty. We have to have faith in this statement. Then you'll see Krishna will take care of you and your family and Krishna consciousness and the temple and everything. Even though there are situations that seem impossible, just like here, the whole earth fell down into the Garbhodak ocean. Why did that happen? Well, that'll be explained later on, but it's because the demons were digging big tunnels and holes through the core of the earth, and it disrupted the balance of the earth, and it fell out of its orbit. In other words, it could happen again. They're digging so much. So what they do is they pump out oil, and they replace the oil that they pumped out with water. Now, water has a different density than oil. Actually, water is heavier than oil. So when you replace the millions and millions of tons of oil with water, you've changed something very fundamental. And in ancient times, demons were doing that. Like, for example, Ravana built a tunnel from Lanka to Brazil, right? So that means he dug the tunnel right through the core of the earth. So that has an effect. And in ancient times, the earth fell out of its orbit and went into the Garbhodak Ocean. And then Brahma was thinking, how am I going to save the earth planet? And then he realized, I don't have the power to do this, to lift the earth out of the Garbhodak Ocean. This is something that the Lord will have to do. Right? So, the devotees of the Lord, who are all confidential servitors, are sometimes perplexed in the discharge of their respective duties, but they are never discouraged. They're perplexed, they're confused. How am I going to do this? But they're never discouraged. Why? They have full faith in the Lord, and He paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty. Just understand this one short paragraph, and your whole life in Krishna consciousness will be successful. And yesterday in the class, last night, I explained that faith precedes knowledge. First you have faith, and then you get knowledge. Just like you buy an airline ticket, you have faith that the airplane is not going to crash. Otherwise, you wouldn't buy the ticket. But you don't know for sure if it's going to crash or land safely. You only know that when it lands safely, or if it crashes, right? So your faith precedes knowledge all the time. You put money in the bank. You have faith that you could go back the next day and take it out again. If you thought that once you put the money in the bank, you'll never be able to take it out, you would never go to the bank. You would stuff it in your underneath your bed or somewhere, but you would never take it to the bank because you don't have faith that they're going to give it back to you. So everything is like that. You know, first you have faith, then you get knowledge. So if you put your faith in Krishna, like that's what's being said here, they have full faith in the Lord, and He, the Lord, paves the way for the smooth progress of the devotee's duty. Okay, so now we skipped a couple pages, but you asked the question, so I wanted... Of course, there's one question. How do we have faith? See, that's the main point. How do we get... We have to associate with people who have faith. If you associate with people who don't have any faith, then you'll end up not having any faith in Krishna. They want you to put your faith in some politician or some baseball star or some basketball star or whatever. But if you associate with people who have faith, who are actually following the regulative principles of Krishna consciousness, you will gradually develop the faith. Because situations will come up that seem impossible for you to achieve. But because you have faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, somehow or other, those problems will be solved by the mercy of the Lord, and sometimes in very mysterious ways. Right? Okay, so we'll stop right there, because I have to go early to an appointment, unless there are any more questions. Just learn this one thing today, right? From the text, what text was that? Text 17. It's only a few lines. Learn that one thing, the rest of your life you'll be successful in Krishna consciousness. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavane Ki Jai. Thank you very much. And don't forget, the idea that you come early in the morning to class, Mangala Aarti, it's not easy, I know. It's not easy to do that on a regular basis. You have to work, you have all these different pressures and responsibilities. But sitting like this with your children next to you and learning together, parents and children, the Bhagavad Dharma, or knowledge of Krishna, that is the greatest educational system right there. Much better than any other system of education. And there's no limit to what you can learn by reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It has knowledge of mathematics, science, of medical issues. All the knowledge is there in the Bhagavatam. But you have to be patient, and you go through it page by page. And you'll see that this is the greatest scripture in the history of the world. Even the demigods read the Bhagavatam. And they're eager to hear Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we're very fortunate. So you see, this is why Prabhupada, the first book he really translated was the Bhagavad Gita. And then it was the Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are the two most important scriptures in the history of the world. Now, who believes this? Who follows this? Yes, there are people that follow it. But the way Prabhupada presented it is in its purest form, with no speculation. Other people give lectures on Bhagavad Gita, some of them give lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam, and sometimes they're bona fide, and other times they're not bona fide. But everything Prabhupada did, he strictly stayed on the track of Shastric evidence and never deviated and never presented any speculation in the interpretation of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Okay, thank you very much. You will realize this more and more.
One
Yes.
last one. So last chapter we talked about Rudra and how he created demons, and now Manu has come and he's creating his progeny. So what happened to all those demons? They are still on earth and they are the reason, along with Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, added on, or how do we?
No, well, in the past, there were a few demons, real big ones, like Hiranyakashipu, etc. Now, a huge number of demons. You see. So, and we're seeing what happens when there are a huge number of demons. Krishna organizes wars where they come together and kill each other. So you're seeing that right now in Ukraine and Russia. Huge number of men and women are dying, right? And there's war in other places also. And then there are, weather problems and people are dying, floods and heat waves. Then there's diseases that are killing many people. So all this is happening because these are ways that demons get killed. Right? Because now you might say, well, wait a minute, my grandmother wasn't a demon. And she died of this infection or so forth. Yes, that's true. Therefore, but when there's massive killing going on, like you're seeing now in Ukraine, in Russia, and massive weather disturbances that are causing a lot of people to die, those are planned by the Lord. You see. Now, a lot of the demons die, but there are miracles also where, children or good people are saved in the same situation where the demons are being killed. You see. Like, just like my mother, during the massacres of Armenians, so many Armenian adults, mothers, fathers, uncles, aunties, were all killed. But my mother, who was only 5 or 6 years old, she survived. That's a miracle, right? Because she was still young, very, very young, and had not committed any sins yet. So she was miraculously saved after her last parent, her mother, died in the desert, and she was alone. And she was picked up by a Turkish family that adopted her and saved her life. The same people who killed her family saved her life. So you see, it all depends on what our imprint is on earth. Are we engaging in sinful activities? Then we become a victim of karma. If we're always following Sanatana Dharma in the proper way, then Krishna is going to protect us. We have to have that faith. And it's a fact. He will protect you. So the best protection, the best insurance policy you can get is to chant Hare Krishna and have complete faith in the Lord and associate with good devotees and follow the regulative principles. That's the greatest insurance policy that you could ever have. And it doesn't cost anything, right? You don't have to pay, $10,000 a year for such insurance. So we should believe what we're reading. And we're reading, it's going, as we go along, what we're discussing, we're seeing the answers right in the book, right? And that's very strange how this is happening. And don't think that don't think that it's strange. This is because you're coming on a regular basis. Krishna is giving you pertinent information that you can use right away. How to become Krishna conscious and attain complete success in this life. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you very much. Thank you.